Good evening. Welcome to episode 210 of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast. Next stop, Club World Cup here in our neck of the woods, or at least in the same country. Not necessarily in the same neck of the woods, but closer than usual. As always, I'm your host, Mike. I've got Bill with me today. Bill, how are you?
Not too bad. Frustrating end to the season, but looking forward now to at least catching one game in the next couple weeks.
Hopefully it's a good one too.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to catch up on. We've got the 2024-25 recap, so we'll go over the final weeks of the season, what we think. We will talk about a little bit about the coach, the final weeks, how it ended, what our thoughts are. We'll talk about transfer rumors. There's a lot circulating. Portuguese media loves themselves a rumor, some chaos, some drama. So there's plenty to talk about there. We'll go through the roster from this year and talk a little bit about keep, sell, and loan. We will look at the three new kits that already captured some of our monies.
Oh yeah.
So we'll talk about those, and we'll look ahead to the Club World Cup. A few of us will be flying down to Miami to catch the Benfica Boca game. So it will be fun if we can run into some of you guys and have a conversation there. But we will we'll post some information later this week or early next week about where our whereabouts will be on game day. But before we get started, I think we owe everyone an explanation. I mean, it's been, I don't know, maybe a month now since we've done a podcast. I think the last one was before the Sporting game for the league. Life, personal, work has been crazy. We did unfortunately have two people who passed in the last month or so. Oscar had a death in the family. His brother-in-law passed away, unfortunately, unexpectedly. And then my uncle also passed away. So again, between life, work, and just all the chaos, I felt that, we at least owed an explanation as to why we've been kind of MIA and things have been a little bit crazy. We haven't been as active on social media. So, but we're past that. And I did want to dedicate this podcast, this episode to the two of them who both were Benfica fans. Jay was supposed to join us at the game at Hard Rock against Boca Juniors. So in memory of them, I did feel like we wanted to mention it and, wanted to dedicate this episode to the two of them. Those of you who are tuning in, let us know what you're thinking. Join the conversation. Share your thoughts, your opinions, your views in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, all of those fun things. And those of you who are tuning in on Instagram, it looks like the feed's frozen on my side, but it could just be on my side. So if it looks good on your side, could you just leave me a comment and let me know that it's coming through fine. E para a malta que esteja a ver em português, como sempre, estejam à vontade de participar aqui neste nosso podcast. Podem deixar as vossas opiniões em português. Iremos abordar os vossos comentários, por isso estejam à vontade e participem nesta nossa conversa. Cesar da Silva, welcome, gents. Good day. All right, Bill, let's get into this. So, since we were last here, Benfica goes into the final weeks of the season. We've, apart from everything that happened leading up to it, right? You basically have essentially a one-off playoff at home in front of your fans against your biggest same city rival, essentially a title game. You win, you've got the advantage. You win by 2, you're the champion. You tie, you're a little bit of trouble. You lose the title. So there was a little bit of everything for everyone. We didn't perform well. We drew, which wasn't good enough. We stumble in Braga, which I felt like that was just inevitable. I actually felt that Sporting was probably going to drop points at home and Benfica would drop points and we wouldn't win the league.
That would have been like the most Benfica thing ever.
And then, of course, we end up at the final of the Taça de Portugal and in the final seconds, the final ticks of the game, it all unravels. So, how do you take all of that and explain to me how would you summarize the final 3 weeks of the season?
The final 3 weeks is like a perfect example of the entire season. Just like complete chaos, frustration. When we had things in our hands, we didn't take advantage of it. I mean, at home, a game like that, like you couldn't ask for a better scenario to leave, either win the title or leave yourself in a very good spot to win the title. And to come out and put in a performance where we had, I think stat wise, it was one shot on target. I
Yeah, one,
consider
and
it
then we had
two
the one
because
off
we
the
had the one
post.
on the post. I
Yep.
consider me off the post as a shot on target, but stat wise, it doesn't work that way. But
Yep.
I mean, to come out and put a performance like that in that type of a game was frustrating. And it summarized the entire season because we had plenty of chances to take a hold of the league and hold it and carry out the rest of the season. And we never did. Every chance we had to stay top, we slipped up right away, right? Sporting would slip, we would go first. Very next week, we'd drop points again. And it was just perfectly summarized the season. We could never take advantage of Sporting slips. And again, it's just a way to end a frustrating season with a real frustrating 3 weeks because I mean, all of us are going into that Sporting game with high hopes, and it turned out to be a dud of a game. Stadium was rocking. The fans did their job from the start, like leaving the Seychelles with hundreds of fans there. Police didn't allow them to get to the rotunda for whatever reason, so they just lined the street before, and it was what you want for a game like that, right? The fans to show the team that they're up for it and they're behind them, and the performance didn't match the atmosphere that the fans put in.
Yeah, it's I felt that the fans leading up to the game, I felt like the environment that was created around the game was more than sufficient for the team to kind of
Oh,
pick themselves up. And not to mention,
100%.
given how this team started the season, for us to get to that stage and have that opportunity, right? Like, and I had this conversation with my uncle, who's a Sporting fan, but fortunately, he's pretty level-headed and he's able to see the game as it is. I can't wrap my head around people, and I get it, right? There's people saying, "Oh, Sporting was helped here, helped there, helped there." At the end of the day, right? If we take a step back and we're going to be rational about it, throughout an entire season, all three big clubs are going to be helped, and they're going to be they're going to have calls that go against them, right? That's just how it rolls, right? Now, could one club have more calls in their favor than others? Very possible. But despite all of that, you basically have one game at home in front of your fans against this, right? Like it, you basically have that one playoff game.
Yep.
Right. And you get there and we're flat. Like we were flat. I felt like the team was trying hard, right? Like the effort. I didn't feel like there wasn't an effort. I just felt like we lacked ideas.
It was sloppy too. Like there was so many just like sloppy passes, missed passes. Like it was it was a performance to forget, kind of, because I mean,
And it's surprising because it almost felt like the team was impacted in a negative way from the environment that was created around the game, right? Like it was almost like
Too much
they were
pressure.
playing with their heart the entire game than with their head, right? And if there was a team, that you would have expected to play with their heart and not with their head, you would have thought it would have been Sporting, despite them having been champions the prior year. But you're going away to Benfica in that environment, right? Like, and it was almost like I would be willing to bet if the tables were turned and we played that game at Sporting Stadium, they would have fucking eaten us alive.
With that type of atmosphere, yeah, we would have. I feel like we would have crumbled.
Right. And it's just like it's hard for me to understand how those final 2 weeks of the season played out. It's frustrating because ultimately I felt that Benfica had. I mean, let's be serious. I felt Benfica had the better overall individual players, but Sporting has a better team, a collective. And then of course you've got, the robot up front that just.
Yeah, I think overall we were a bit lucky to be in the title race, given how we started, given how they started,
and how they unraveled.
And right, those.
But we also, I think
like month or whatever.
There's credit for us too.
Right. I mean, not to just pack it in.
Despite the fact, despite the fight. Jeez, what the hell am I saying? Despite the fact that Sporting went through a phase, right? We also had to do our part and win those points, right?
Yep.
Regardless of what happened with them, right? So yes, they dropped points, but we also went on a pretty good run.
Agreed.
So I think there's, yes, they dropped a lot of points, but we also did our part to recoup some of those points. But looking back, right, we end the season with the Taça da Liga. We fall short in the league. We fall 2 points behind Sporting, who wins it. First time they've done the Bicampeonato in 70 years. I think the last time they got a Dobradinha was like 20 something years ago. So it's been some time before they were able to celebrate some of these triumphs that they had this season. Do you think it's the right decision to keep Lage?
I go back and forth on it. I understand the argument to keep him, and because he came in and was able to settle the team, get some wins behind the belt, and kind of build the team of players that. And Oscar argues this constantly. The players weren't his, right? He didn't pick the team. He didn't transfers nothing. So credit to him for coming in and working with what he had. Credit to him. I'm going to give him credit on some of the transfers in January because you are led to believe manager has some say in transfers. And I think the work we did in January overall was pretty good. Bring it in Dahl, Bruma.
The injuries killed us.
Right.
Specifically.
So I see the argument for it, for keeping him, and I'm okay with keeping him given how we finished the season and just like the whole season as a whole. But he wasn't my choice when we got rid of Roger. And I just worry we see something similar to what we saw his first time around and what we've seen with him everywhere he's gone. Because at Wolves, he had a decent run, was given transfers, was given money, and then it all went upside down.
Mm-hmm.
He went to, was it Botafogo? They had
With
a huge lead. Right. And he was like, it just what we've seen from him in those follow-up seasons is what I'm afraid of. But I mean, he's given where he grabbed the team and where we ended up. I think he's earned the right to stay on and have his opportunity to put his tweaks to the squad, because I don't think we need a huge overhaul of the squad. I think it's
Agreed.
a few tweaks, adjustments, and some bench type of players where we could fill out better.
And that's been part of our problem, right? Is feels like year over year we lose like 2 of our best, and then we go get 6 players, right? But it's not
Right.
always easy to replace your best, right?
Yeah.
Just because you spend a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that that player is going to pick up right with that other player left off. And Cristiano makes a good point here. Um, we would have all signed up to play Sporting at home, level on points, and 2 games to go.
100%.
Like, given how we started, if
100%.
you told anyone the day Roger Schmidt was sacked and Bruno Lage was presented, we, with the second to last game, are going to be tied in points with Sporting with an opportunity to win the title at home, I'd be willing to bet most people are like,
Yep.
Not happening.
Yeah.
So like you said, right? And I share the same sentiment. He wasn't my preference. For those of you that follow the podcast, I think, you know, maybe Oscar's the only one that's really gung ho on him. I think he has weaknesses like every other coach does, but I still see a lot of those weaknesses in him today, many years later, that he showed his first time around at Benfica. With that said, I would be a hypocrite if I sat here and said he shouldn't stay, right? Because I was a defender of keeping Roger Schmidt, because it's very hard to win and build stability if you're constantly rotating the guys that are in charge. Like it's just not feasible. It's not sustainable. You can't just keep, kick this guy out, bring another guy in, kick this guy out, bring another, right? Like you can't create
That's been our
stability,
problem for
right?
the longest time.
It's just so I would be a hypocrite if I defended Roger Schmidt and thought he should have stayed because we needed continuity, and then now sit here and say I think Bruno Lage should leave. So is he my preference? Still, he's not my preference, right? Just like he's not the preference of many others. But like you said, right, like he picked up the team in a difficult spot, and he did well with what he had. Now, did he have bad moments throughout the season? He did. Did he have very good moments throughout the season? He did, right? So that's where I can't accept people's excuses of it's not his team, it's not his roster. He joined mid-season. Let's not forget he joined in the 5th round of the season, right? So he had 29 games to play, right? He played most of the season because that same team that wasn't his put in performances like they did against Porto at home, Porto away, Atletico Madrid at home, Barcelona at home in the group state, right? Like we had a good amount of very good performances. And then we also had our fair share of bad performances, right? So I can't swallow that excuse of it's not his team. Is it harder to play a strategy that you want to play with players that maybe don't fit that style? 100%, right? But he showed us that he could make it work. So with that said, I think it's the right decision to keep him. Again, keep stability, give him, like you said, I thought he made some good moves in the January transfer window. I thought some of the acquisitions that he brought in were a little bit more telling of the type of player he wants because of the type of game that he likes to play. I thought the Manu injury obviously hurt us significantly because it took away a little bit more creative player in that midfield. And then Ba, of course. So I think it's the right decision to keep him, give him this off season to kind of make it his own. But I do think that with everything surrounding the club right now, the presidency, the elections, the way the season ended, there's a lot of division in the club again. Right now, there's a candidate here, there's another candidate over there. Now everyone wants to be a candidate. I just feel like that environment around everything is going to put an incredible amount of pressure on him going. Like if people thought Roger Schmidt had pressure on his shoulders going into last season, boy,
Yeah, next year is going to
I
be
think going into this next
with an
season,
election
Bruno
year.
Lage has a hell of a lot more pressure on him than Roger Schmidt did. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, not because of like him. I think it's just the
Correct. Just
circumstances
correct.
with the
Everything around
club,
it
election
and how we
year.
ended.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
And again, let's be honest, most fans weren't in favor of him coming back also. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that also plays a part in it. Touching a little bit on that, if Rui Costa if he's not going to be a candidate in the elections coming up in October, do you think it's the best thing for him to push the elections up and potentially put them in place before the start of the season, which is what many people are asking for? I have my opinion on it, and I think this opinion is very situational, but curious to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not, and I think I've said it to you a few times, if he's not planning to run again, I don't understand why he would go through another offseason planning the team, buying players, to then start the season and say, I'm not running, and then elections mid-year, and then the following year where new president comes in and we're going through spending money to get rid of players that Rui bought, and then that president's spending money and can blame it on Rui. So it's one of those things. Like, for me, if he doesn't have the intention to run, and I don't understand how, like, at this point, how he hasn't made his mind up yet,
I
or
think he
made it
has. I think it's just a
or
matter
made
of
it
when he's going
public
to decide.
knowledge, right? Like, announced yes or no. But if he doesn't have the intention to run, I would prefer the elections to be moved up and the elections to happen before the season. That way, it's giving the new Direção time to decide if they're going to keep Bruno Lage, because you're not going to let a manager start building his team or directing the scouts to look at these type of profiles for players if he's not the next president's plan, right? If Mentegas has, because he came out and said he would keep him if he was willing to work
But do you
into
think
their
he would say
plan.
anything otherwise? It'd
No,
be
I
stupid for
mean,
him to
well,
come in and
you
say
could,
he
but
could, but I mean, you're going to come in and sack the manager fucking in October. I mean, that
I
would be
mean,
a terrible way to start your candidacy.
you could pull like a what was it Florentino Perez when he ran
Oh,
before the Galacticos, and he was like, I have
yeah,
this
yeah,
person. If I win, I have this person lined up, type of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I get it. But if he's not planning to run, I 100% would prefer the elections to happen before the season and give the next Direção time to plan, to make decisions, and get everything into place what they want. Because I don't
So
want to get into the whole start the season like shit while if we start the season bad, then we have the elections.
Yep.
If we're already divided now, imagine the atmosphere that's going to be in the club if we start bad next year, plus the elections happening right after. I mean, it's like, what, 2 months after the season starts?
October, yeah. So in normal circumstances, and just quickly some comments on Instagram. I think it's Mark Correa. He asked if Gio had already been sold. And John Ramos said no. And Mark thinks that, I believe it's Mark, so correct me if I'm wrong, but he says watch him stay again. John Ramos says I think he will. He loves Portugal. As a star at Sporting, he's going to. I'll touch on that maybe before we close out. And John Ramos says he will be at the Benfica versus Boca game, so stay tuned. We will share some information. It would be good to connect while we're down there and have a conversation about Benfica, and we'll probably do some lives while we're down there. So yeah, let's keep in touch, John. So my take here is in a normal circumstance, I 100% agree. I think moving the elections to like a May timeframe, end of May, beginning of June, which gives, whether it's a new president, gives them the off season to prep and go into the season with their staff, with their coach, with their team, whatever the case may be. And if it's the president that's currently there gets reelected, right? Regardless, you now go into the new season clean, no stress, not having to deal with the dramas of elections and stuff like that. In this situation, I think it's tricky. Why? Because season ended at the end of May. You've basically got like a 14-day window. You've got Club World Cup. Then you've got another small window. Preseason starts. And then we've got two, if we win them, qualification rounds to get into the Champions League, right? So the season starts super early. Obviously, the president isn't the one playing, but I think having elections in this current situation moved up, I think would be a disaster, because here you like getting into Champions League is crucial, right? 100%. From a numbers perspective, right? So you have to get in, and you've got such a small window that it's going to create so much stress around the players. I mean, let's be honest. It's going to create stress around the players. It's going to create stress around the coaching staff, right? Like regardless of if it's in May, June, October, right? Even more so as you're prepping and going into the season, you've got this expectation, like we've got to get into Champions League. So I think the window is so small, and there's I feel like the negative is in this case more impactful than the positive. Like there's more cons than pros in this specific scenario, that I don't think it would make sense. Now, if we had gotten directly into the Champions League, I think there's a bigger window and it probably makes more sense, right? Like you have it, right before the preseason starts in July, right after the Club World Cup, but because of the season starting so early, I think in this specific scenario, it would be nearly suicidal for us. I think just the chaos that would be created around this team, right? And then
you don't think the chaos is going to happen when
it is,
because it's not if we slip a little bit, when we have like a road of 2 or 3, 4 bad games.
I think that regardless, there's going to be chaos, because I mean, we're probably going to have the largest number of candidates probably we've seen in our lifetime. There's a lot of tension around the club. The fans are divided. There's these groups, right? There's these buckets of groups of, we like that one, we like this one, right? So I think that's going to happen regardless. But just think of it this way. Say the elections happen in June, right? Let's say some other president wins. They now have a small window to start, one, understanding how things function on the inside, right? Start creating relationships, bringing in players. You got to prep preseason. You've got to create stability within the group. Then you've got Champions League qualifiers. Say they fall flat on their face and don't make it in the Champions League, right? Then it's like disaster. And then the excuse is going to be, I've only been here a month. I didn't have time. This is their players. I'm trying to fix all this, that, and the other thing, right? So and then if
this is the last
they
guy's
do make
fault.
it, right? So like I feel like we'd be setting the club up for potential disaster, but we'd also be setting up whoever it is that got elected, more so if it was someone new, for failure as well, right? Because you've got such a small window and the pressure is going to be absurd, right? And with those early qualifications, I feel like we'd be setting ourselves up for big failure. So in this situation, I'm of the opinion that we shouldn't move them up, regardless if he's going to run or not. In a normal circumstance, I'm of the opinion that the election should be like right after the season ends, right? And there's arguments for, if you win the season, it gives the person that's there now bigger opportunity.
To their credit. They planned the season correctly and they won the league type of
correct
thing.
But that's the thing, right? Like it's a democracy, right? Like you need to, if the fans need to be able to vote with a clean head, right? And if your voting style is based on what happened last week versus what happened over the 4 years, then that's your right to do that, right?
Yeah.
I can think it's wrong, you can think it's right, but that's the democracy, right? Like, you have your opportunity to vote, you vote based on how you want to vote. So I think
But the
there's
argument
many
goes the
ways
other
to
way
look
as
at it.
well. Like if, like in the way it's currently set up, right in October, say we struggle to start, Rui gets voted out. The team that was built, the staff, everything is Rui's, right? We struggle to start. We say we don't make Champions League. He gets voted out. We go on to win Taça Portugal, Taça de Liga, the league. He gets voted out because of the slow start.
Yep.
But the team he built won everything.
Correct. Yeah.
Domestically. It's the same way. It's the same thing.
Correct.
Like
Everyone's going to paint that picture that they
Right.
want the narrative to be, right? Oh, we should have stayed. It's his fault because of X, Y, and Z, or it's his fault because of ABC, right? It's just a matter of what side of the fence you want to play.
Yeah.
John on Instagram said, Benfica is the biggest team in Portugal. Rui should call for an early election like now. Noronha has some good support, but I think Rui Costa wins. It's going to be tricky. Again, I just explained why I thought it doesn't make sense now.
The decision, and if it should have been made by now. Like if they were going to do, I
Correct.
understand.
There's no way they're
your
going to do it
argument
now.
I understand your argument. Like now it's too late. Like if they were
Yeah,
going to move the elections,
it should have been announced
done,
in like February.
and it had to have been done the second the season ends, right after Taça Portugal. You
Yep.
have like
100%.
a few week period where you do your debates, you do all the stuff, and then
Agree
you
with that.
vote.
Now it's too late. It's impossible.
Yeah. With the World Cup, the Club World Cup. Yeah.
Misael, sorry if I said it wrong. Hey guys, are you going to talk about transfers? That's the next topic we're going to jump into right now. So good timing. And welcome. The name doesn't look familiar, but if you have tuned in before, thank you for coming back. If you haven't, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. Transfer rumors. Portuguese media loves themselves some drama, some chaos, some polémicas. Let's go down this list here. Rumors: Artur Cabral is headed to Botafogo. 15 million is what they're announcing or they're rumoring. I don't know if that includes any objectives. Benfica paid 20 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But we all knew we were gonna have to eat some cash on that one.
Correct. And there's rumors that they want this to happen sooner rather than later because they want to have him available for the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
What do you think about this one?
I'll pick him up and swim across the ocean myself. I mean, he like I kind of feel bad for him because he came at a moment where like we needed, like desperately needed, like a big striker. He was the big price tag, and it was just like from the start, how the fuck did we scout this guy? How did we come up with
a reactionary signing?
Right. Well, that was exactly from the start. It was just one of those things where everyone was like, this, like the way he plays didn't fit.
Yeah.
His style, like it just didn't fit the way we played, and he didn't have like pace, body size. Like from the start, it was just one of those signings where it was just like who scouted him, who put him on report, like where did this come from, and how did we end up paying 20 some odd mil for this type of player? And it felt like it was just a matter of time that we would get him off the books, and I think maybe a year too late, but better late than never.
John says lucky if we get 8 to 10 million for him. Yeah, I mean the rumors is 15.
When I heard it, I'm like, I sign me up.
5 million. I mean, yes, we've had a salary and stuff, but I mean, if we can lose in terms of the transfer value, if we can lose 5 million, I think that's really good business. Now, again, I don't know if that 15 includes objectives or if that's just the fee and then potentially tack on some objectives. But I agree. I'm in favor of this departure. It clears up a spot to bring someone in. And I just feel like he was brought in to a context that just never was in his favor.
No.
Right. I can't really have an opinion on whether he's good or not. I haven't seen him enough, right? I mean, people swear by him when he was at Basel, when he was at Fiorentina. I just think
on
the way
YouTube,
he
he's fucking
plays
nasty, but
on YouTube, yeah.
not in real life.
I just feel like he was never put in a position to succeed. And then I think the fact that when Pavlidis came in, even though Pavlidis wasn't scoring and he wasn't playing, I think was telling. And then when Brunelage came in, Belotti comes in and takes the second spot over him, right? Like I think the writing was on the wall. But I will say, the players had posted some videos or pictures of a get together they had towards the end of the season.
He had a birthday party.
And he had a birthday party at his house. And I think it's also telling of potentially the person he is in the locker room. He did have that moment at the start with the middle finger and all that drama, but I think it's telling the fact that, the players were together at his house for his birthday. So I think, wish him well wherever he ends up. But I think it's unfortunately the stars weren't aligned for him to have success at Benfica, in part maybe because of his qualities, but also in part because I don't think Benfica put him in a position to be successsul.
No, I think like in Brazil he might bag goals left and right just because of like the style of play.
Yeah,
I mean he's a big.
He's a guy that you need in the box.
Presence. Like if that team, if they're just lobbing balls into him, like he's gonna bag goals.
If you need him to come outside the box and link up play and then get into the box, like it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna work.
Misael says, I usually watch your lives. I'm quite disappointed about the club signing Belotti. We should get another player, give an opponent to give an opportunity to a younger player like Varela or Zalmelro. I mean, we've got Enrique Ruiz, who's also that's going to be coming back. Belotti was further down my list, but we could talk about him now. Benfica hasn't signed Belotti. There's rumors that Benfica is in negotiations with Como to sign him, depending on what the fee is going to be. Would you like to keep him? And what would be kind of your max threshold in terms of a transfer for someone like him?
So I think we touched on this a few months ago. Like as a second or third option, I would sign him 100%. I think he gives you like what you're getting with him for the. I mean, I think at the time it was like the reports were saying it was like $3 million value.
His market value, according to Transfer Market's $2 million.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking like $1.5 million type of deal would probably get it done type of thing. Like that is like chump change in today's world, and you're getting a player that was at the club, settled in well, performed every time. I mean, I can't remember a game where he was put out and played like horrendously.
Yeah, I agree.
mean, so for me, you're looking at it when you're building a squad, you want your all-out, your starting striker. We have it. You want a veteran that can be, if needed, something happens to your striker, you can plug and play, and they can fit in. To me, Belotti kind of fits that, given that he was already there for 6 months. Like that is just added bonus. And then your third option, you want a young player who's going to get maybe a few minutes here and there, but it's more of just like the experience of being with the first team type of thing. And like that fits for me. Like Belotti, probably one or two you bring in, you can either go buy a young promising player or you promote one of these guys from the B team.
Yeah.
And then if one of these guys from the B team outshine and play, then Belotti loses minutes. But he doesn't seem like the player that, like in this point of his career, that is going to make a huge stink about potentially losing some playing time.
I agree. His market value is $2 million. He's 31. This is his last season contract with Como. He's expires at the end of 2026. Right. I agree with you. I think we could probably make a deal for $2 million, 3 at the most. I'd probably push for 2 or less.
Yeah.
I think the biggest obstacle potentially is a salary.
Potentially. Yeah.
don't know how much he's making. It's not public information. I know that there's websites out there like Capology. Let me see if they
I
have
also
anything
can't
on that.
imagine Como having the funds to.
Let's see. Let's see what Capology. So, but Capology says he's on. Oh, it's up here. He's on 2.8 million, 2.88 gross per year.
So it's like the higher end of our.
That's actually Trubin's at 3.8. Di Maria was 3.8. Artur 3.8. Kokshu 3. Aushin is 2.8, and Belotti 2.8.
You put him
Again, this isn't
if
public,
it's that.
but I think if his salary fits, I agree. 31 years old, he's not at the end of his career. He seems to be a guy that is content with understanding what his role is in the team. Like you said, you need a mix of experience, youth, quality, and like John says in his comment on Instagram, 2 to 3 million, third option. He gives you the experience. He's physical. He's an international. He hasn't been called to the national team in a while, but he gives you that experience, right? He's been on the big stage. He won the Euro with Italy. I believe it was the Euro. Right. And again, he just seems like a guy that, right, if he's going to come in and play 20 minutes today, he's going to come in and play 20 minutes today, and he's going to fucking leave it on the field, right? And if next week he doesn't play any minutes, then he doesn't play any minutes, right? And then right, like, he doesn't seem like a guy that's bothered by that shit. And I think you need role players in your squad, right? And he's one of those that not only can play a role player function, he can also give you the experience and the physicality. He can press. He's a bulldog, and I think, again, if they can make it work from a financial perspective, I would be in favor of him staying at the club.
Yeah. I think we need to spend money, like big money, not big money, but like significant money elsewhere. So if you're able to bring in a player with that type of experience for that type of fee, like, I think it works out in the long run when you're building out the team, because that gives you a bigger budget to then go and get someone to replace Di Maria, someone else for the midfield, a right back. Like, there's holes in this team that need to get filled.
Yep.
And if we can fill this one with a transfer of that type of value, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. And Jay says, what's going on, fellas? What's up, Jay? Misael says his salary's too high. He earns more than Pavlidis. It's indecisive moments. He disappears. He needs experience. We need experience, but we also need a second striker that can score goals. In terms of Pavlidis, they're on the same salary. Again, according to Capology, they're on the same salary. But again, that's the salary that he's coming from Como with. Again, I would assume that would be something that Benfica could negotiate into the discussion. Would he take less? I don't know. But that's something that they could discuss. In terms of disappears, I wouldn't say so. I mean, he was decisive against Santa Clara away. Right, he's the one that starts that play that Bruma ends up finishing off. Against Braga, or against Sporting, he has that play down the line that crosses the Pavlidis that puts it off the post. Right? So I wouldn't say that he disappears. Again, he was here for 6 months. He was, let's not forget, when he comes in, is essentially right around the time that Pavlidis starts bagging goals left and right. Right. So it's not like Belotti got a run of 2-3 games starting and playing lots of minutes because Pavlidis wasn't scoring, right? Like, that was more or less, I'd have to go back and confirm, but I'm pretty sure it was more or less around that time.
He was playing like the Tasa games with the squad that was rotated, like 8 rotation, like, yeah. I mean, I given, like, I can understand, like, you, for a striker, you look at goals, and he didn't score a ton of them, but again, he was our second option, minutes wise, like, way down from Pavlidis. Plus, like,
I mean, he got
when he got here, that's
754
when
minutes.
Pavlidis went off.
Yeah, he had 4 goals and 1 assist in 754 minutes. So I mean, he had 5 goal contributions in 754. So you're looking at, I mean, he had a goal contribution, a goal or assist every 150 minutes, right? Is that something to write home about? No. But again, for a player that didn't get many large stretches of playing time, if we look at Pavlidis' goal contributions in the first half of the year,
Probably
or
less
the
than
first
that.
half of the season, right? That exactly, the numbers are probably just around that
Yep.
or worse, right? But what did we all say? He's helping the team. He's contributing. The goals will come. The goals will come, right? Belotti's shown that he can score goals. Again,
Yep.
all of this to say, I think if the numbers made sense, I wouldn't be opposed to him being one of our options off the bench. And I see people saying like, oh, we need better options. We need a true. Listen, there's not many teams in the world that have an equal or better on their bench to their starter.
No
Right?
chance.
Maybe a Real Madrid, maybe Manchester City, right? But like, think of all the top teams in the world, right? Let's not look any further than down the road. Sporting's got Gyökeres. Who's their backup? Right? Is he's not scoring half of
Right.
what Gio's scoring, or a quarter of what Gio's scoring, right? So City's got Holland, right? Right. They just got Marmouche, right? But he's not an out-and-out striker, right? So like, there's not Benfica's no team in Portugal, and not many teams in the world are going to have an elite player in their 11 and another elite player for that position in their bench. It's just not realistic.
Yep.
Right. So I think, right, if we want to sit here and talk about money and cost, that's what comes with it, right? If you want to have a match for match, you're going to have to spend that, and you're not going to spend that to have them sitting on the bench, right?
No.
So the guy that's sitting on the bench needs to be a good option to fill in, to help, but isn't going to give you the same output. If he does, that's a super plus.
Right.
The expectation can't be that. At least that's my opinion. Carreras, incredible season. I think you and probably many others were very critical of him in the first 6 months at Benfica. Did not expect the evolution that we saw this season.
It was like a light switch went off.
Dude, it's almost like he was fucking with us. Like, oh, here comes the ball. I can't judge it. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, hey guys, this is really me. Rumors that Real Madrid is knocking on the door. There was also rumors that Benfica hasn't received any official offers for him. The rumor is his release clause is 50 million. The rumor was Real Madrid was willing to offer 45 million with some objectives, I think, of 5 million, 2 payments of 22.5 million, plus the objectives that would take them up to 50, which is the release clause, but obviously paying it in portions. Again, I don't know if those rumors are true or not. What do you think of this potential sale?
I'd prefer. I'm obviously prefer to keep them, right? But if someone comes in and hits a release clause, there's like, what are we going to do? Type of thing. And like, I understand, like, Twitter blows up and complains when these news, like the report come out and the club says, oh, he's not leaving for anything less than his release clause. And then when the reports come out that it's 2 installments and not all up front, Twitter blows up. Like, I get it. I understand it. But like, on the flip side, this is Real Madrid, right? If we want to do business with these type of clubs and get young players from them to then turn around and make these huge profits on them, like we tend to do, like, you don't want to hardball them over 2 installments to equal 50 over 50 upfront, right? Like, we've done it where certain transfers go in just for like installments. It's all about like balancing books and
Yep.
like I forget which player it is. I think it's the German going to Liverpool. I saw there was reports that they're waiting to announce it until like July something, so it doesn't.
That's Zubimendi to Arsenal.
So like
for Sociedad,
yeah,
so it's their books
right.
for
So
next
like
season.
there's all these like ways to like finagle these transfers. So
I mean,
like,
look no further. Benfica with Gonçalo Ramos in PSG, right? The loan with the
alone to
requirement to buy.
Yeah, like I understand the frustration of losing a player of that caliber after one good season. That tends to feel like we always do that at Benfica, like it always happens. And I agree. And everyone goes right to the João Neves one. And yes, that one's frustrating given how he looked this season.
Yeah.
But in this case, like, cut it however you want to cut it. If it's for 50 mil and the release clause, and you're splitting into two transfers, but you're leaving yourself in good relationship with Real Madrid. Like, to me, that's fine. Like, I don't care how the money comes in. If the total of the package is for the release clause, fine. Like it works for me. But me personally, I prefer to keep them.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, we'd want to keep him.
It sounds like the approach to renew didn't really work out last year. So
I mean,
it doesn't.
Who knows? I've seen rumors that he's told people that he wanted to stay. Right? And again, like these are simply rumors, right? Like we don't know what's true, what's not. His contract with Benfica doesn't expire till 2029, right? So he's got plenty of time on his contract. I know that there was rumors that we were going to try to renegotiate his contract to up his release clause. At the end of the day, 50 million for a left back after one season that we paid 6 million for it or 9 million for is a huge deal. Again, it's probably going to upset some people. Benfica is not in the business of buying and selling players, and I get that. But again, let's be honest. Like, I love the romanticism around Benfica fans of we need to keep our best players and they need to want to stay, and all the other teams do it, right? And the example people have given, right, is Gio, right? But sure, Gio stayed last year, but were there any concrete offers for Gio? Like legitimate offers that were realistic, right? I'm not saying an offer for like, we're going to give you 50 million, right? Like if I'm Sporting, I'd be like, fuck you, right? And I'm sure Benfica would too, right? But, right, just like this year, right? Like, there's rumors he's going to go, right? Where's he going to go? But are there any offers coming in, right? And let's be honest, right? Like Carreras is from Madrid's youth system, right? We said the same thing about Ruben Amorim and his opportunity to go to Manchester United. Those types of buses typically only go by once. Right. And as a player, as much as we want to be romantic and Benfica is the best club in the world and they should never want to leave and they should play her all their lives. But like, I can't, no one's more of a Benfica fan than I am. I don't consider myself to be more of a Benfica fan than anyone else. Right. You could be equal to, that's fine, but you're not more of a Benfica fan than I am. But I can't play into that game of like, they need to want to stay, right? We need to keep them for this. Like, it's just, dude, it's not realistic, right? And you can point to however many scenarios you want to point at other clubs and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm of the opinion that if there are concrete, realistic offers from clubs that make sense, right? I'm not saying that Carreras gets an offer to go play at Las Palmas and we're like, deuces, see you later, right? Like that's not realistic. Now, if you got a Real Madrid knocking at your door, a Barcelona, right? One of the big fish in the pond, more often than not, those players are going to want to go, right? Again, the João Neves situation, yes, I think we fucked up, right? And I think Benfica was so desperate to make money that we ended up making a bad deal, right? But in most of these situations, I think it's hard. It's hard for them to say no. As much as we want to sit here and again be romantic and we want to keep them, and I can't. For me, that's irrational thinking, and not realistic thinking. But again, to each their own. They're just opinions. I'm not on the inside. I don't know how it works. I'm just giving my opinion. But I think it's crazy that people think it's just as simple as like, well, you love Benfica, you should stay, right? And we should keep you. I can't look at it that way.
Does his that United buyback clause, does that
It already
expire?
expired.
'Cause I'm
Or
like
end
if
of
that
June, I think.
like if that's still in play type of thing.
But there was rumors
It's
that
like
Manchester United wouldn't get involved in it. I know that they were saying like Real Madrid worked with Man United and them
Yeah.
go buy him back, and then. But I had seen rumors that
no,
Man United has
what
no
I'm saying is
intention.
like if that, because it was for like peanuts, that buyback
Yeah, it's 20
option.
million.
Like if that was like still in play, I could understand like selling him earlier than you want to like try to get as
Oh,
much
with the
back
fear of them coming back to pull him.
before United like opens
But
their eyes.
United can't buy him if Benfica doesn't want to sell him. That's the thing.
Yeah.
United has that option if Benfica is looking to
So I've
sell.
seen that's the problem. I've seen
They
like
can't just show up and be like, "We want him back. Here's 20
I've
million." That's
seen
not how it works.
reports of like different things. I've seen the report where ultimately it's if Benfica wants to sell.
Correct.
But I've also seen the report. It's like a straight up buyback clause. United can come in and just
No, it would be
pay it.
if Benfica is looking to sell him. United has the first option of that 20 million. But it
Okay.
runs out, I think, maybe at the end of June, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement with that. Dahl, rumors to have signed. I don't think there's much to say here. I think he hit the ground running. 9 million is the rumor, with a 20% profit on future sales. So it's just the difference from 9 above. I know that there was rumors of 40%, but I had seen in multiple places that it's 20% of a future sale profit. I mean, this one's a pretty straightforward one. I think it's a great piece of business. Young player, and he's pretty dynamic. He's like a shorter version of an Auschwitz.
Yeah, I
Can
mean,
fit in multiple spots.
Yeah, he played left wing, left back,
right back.
Yeah. I mean, that one to me, that of the players we got in January, I mean, he was the one we had no clue who the hell he was.
Correct.
And he hit the ground running and played well from the start. And again, in today's market, 9 mil is good value. People will point to the 20% future, whatever, but you can always buy that percentage down later on down the road if he starts playing and looks like he's going to be a potential 50, 60, $70 million transfer type of thing.
And regardless, right? Like if he's bringing value, like 20% of a future sale on a player that you got for 9 million, I mean, in today's market, whatever. Let's see. The rumors of João Felix coming back.
I hate this one. It's every fucking window. But I will say at this point, I think he needs Benfica more than we need him.
I agree.
I like his career at this point is like, this is like a pivotal
Last
move type of. It really is. Like everywhere he's gone, he'll like start well-ish and then just falls off a cliff, and then it's like, then the rumors back to Benfica start, and like it's just a cycle. Would I take him? I lean toward yes because of Lage. Because he got the most out of him that no other manager has been able to get out of him since. That and again, it all depends on terms. Like I'm seeing like loan with option to buy. I've seen loan with requirement, and then I've seen the requirement to buy be like 30-something mil.
Yeah,
like that to me, 30 mil for Benfica, that's like pushing it. But again, there is the potential for he's still like super young, so there is the potential to reap some reward on that at the end. But
double dipping.
Yeah, I mean you could, but I think it depends on the circumstances of the deal. If it's loan option to buy, and that option is in like mid-20s type of thing, because I can't see Chelsea going much lower than that for an option to buy, unless they're just trying to clear the books to be able to go splash on 20 more players.
Yeah, I don't think they care about fucking clearing
No.
the books. They just buy whoever the hell moves at this
Right.
point. I can see the Lodge connection. I think he's he just comes across as like a super lazy player. And I know that I've seen people say, like, it'd be good for him to come home, a club that he knows, blah, 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 closer to family. And again, like, I think those are all valid points. Like you said, I think he needs Benfica more than Benfica needs him. Now, if the deal made sense, right? As long as it wasn't anything absurd in terms of a requirement to buy and the salary wasn't ridiculous and it made sense, I don't think it would hurt to have someone like him.
Yep.
Now, if we're talking, I've seen rumors that Chelsea doesn't have any interest in loaning him. They're actually looking for just a straight up sale, and I've seen 30 million, right? Like, if we're going to go out and pay 20 plus for him, like, I would much rather spend that money on another type of player. Right? Like, he's one of those guys that's had so many bad runs since he left us, that he's one of those guys that, like, I'd want to have the loan and see if he can get back to where he was, rather than throw that cash and then be like, fuck,
we fucked up.
Right? Like, we did that with the Tour Cabral, right? And again, you're not going to hit on every transfer, right?
But
And
you
like
would
hope
that the big ones you
correct.
hit on.
But again, there's no guarantee, right? Just
Right.
because you spend a lot of money, right? Look at Mudryk from Chelsea, right? Like, is he even still there? I mean, who is he playing for the BT? I haven't seen him in forever.
Who knows?
So there's no guarantee because you spend a lot of money that the player's going to pan out. But because of how he's continuously come up short since he left us, I think it's way too big of a risk, especially having failed with the investment that we made on Artur Cabral. Misael says here, Jurasek, right? He's another one, right? We dropped a lot of money on him, right? And he hasn't hit the ground running, right? So it wasn't as much, but he's one of those guys that if it was you have to buy him now, I would say absolutely not.
Yeah.
If it was a requirement to buy, I would say absolutely not. Like, I want to test drive this car because it's had so many issues in the last 4 or 5 years that I don't want to buy it and it breaks down tomorrow. Let me test drive it for a year. If it all goes well, I'll buy it at a reasonable price. But you're not gonna get me to buy it now when it's broken down every 3 days.
Yeah,
that's just not
I think with this one, I think it all depends on the terms.
Yeah,
because I agree. I would love to have him come back and do well, and then you double dip, like you said,
instead of selling again.
Great, you just made 120 mil and then sell them again,
like 40, 50. Yeah,
but it all depends. It's so iffy with him, just because of the amount of new opportunities that he's had.
Yeah,
it wasn't just one bad. It wasn't just to Madrid. Played bad, got loaned out, played bad, wanted to come back. It's been loaned out, sold, loaned out. Like, it's just over and over with him.
Yeah, he hasn't had consistency, so that's naturally a big concern. Quickly, some of these comments. Boris says, "Boa noite, bom dia, boa tarde, wherever you are." He also says, "Benfica must build a team. They selling must stop. Sporting have created an atmosphere that make players stay." Let's talk about that at the end of August, Boris, and let me know how many players stay at Sporting at the end of the season. Maybe they do, but I'm curious to see how many actually stay. Market value is very high. And again, when your market value is high and clubs with deep pockets and more visibility come knocking, more often than not, you're more intrigued and more willing to take that jump. But let's see at the end of this transfer window, see what that looks like. Misael says the problem is that we spent loads of money in overrated players and now we're paying the price because financially we can't keep our best players for at least 2 seasons. Again, that's been a problem, is some of the investments that we've made, and we need to be better at the investments that we're making, and that's on the president and his team. Again, you're not going to hit on every transfer, but we need to have a better ratio of large investments and risks, and we need to have more reward than we have had in recent history, for sure. Michel also says he can also play with his brother. Jean Felix playing with his brother. There's rumors that's something that he's been wanting to do. Also rumors that his brother will probably be part of the 8th squad next season. So again, there's a lot of elements involved in this, but time will tell. Milton on Instagram says get together in Miami. Yes, we'll be down there. We'll post some information about where we'll be, when we'll be. But for sure, we will definitely get together and maybe have some interviews and do some live stuff while we're down there. Quickly, just to jump off this one, Di Maria's departure. We can talk about that at another stage. I feel like he was not given the best situation in these final 2 years, unfortunately. But I don't think that erases the legacy that he has. The fact that he came back to us when he could have gone anywhere else. But the last one that I wanted to touch on quickly here is the rumors of Nelson Semedo potentially coming back on a free, with Ba being out probably till October, November timeframe, as depending on how he recovers from that injury.
And then another
we've got
2-3 months of preseason for him.
We've got the Andersent, we've got Auschnitz, we've got Dahl that can play there, we've got Tomás Araújo. As much as I don't want him to be playing there next season, would you take it or leave it?
Take it. That to me is like, of all the rumors of ex Benfica players coming back, like that one to me, like the need of the team makes the most sense to me. Like we need another right back. Even if Ba's fully healthy, we need someone else.
Yeah.
We can't just, and he's shown he can't stay healthy for a whole season, Ba. So we know that at some point he's going to be out for a prolonged time. So then we have someone else. But for me, Semedo would end up being the starter. But that to me, if the opportunity's there, and I think I saw he had some comments that there has been discussions. He just needs to decide what he wants to do, type of thing. But to me, that one makes the most sense. On a free, no transfer right there.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, his salary will probably be on the higher end of our pay structure or whatever. But
I mean, we're also cutting the salary of Di Maria.
Right. And you're bringing someone back that knows the club, came through the club, fans love him, left on good terms type of, like, it just, to me, it makes sense.
And not to mention, which I forgot to mention, in Portugal, if you come back to the country after being out of the country for like 5 years, Benfica gets a savings on the tax. So they don't.
So it's not like the 50% or whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
So they get the player gets more money because they're coming back. I don't remember what the percentage of it is, but that's also something that plays into for Nelson Semedo, even João Felix, right? So that also helps from the cost and investment from a salary perspective as well for the club. So all little nuances and details that could play a pivotal role in that final decision. Milton says Nelson Semedo and Santos until Ba gets back. I'm all in. Nelson Semedo, yeah. Leandro Santos, I'm not entirely sold on him yet.
Sold, but again, as a third or second option, I'm okay.
Yeah. As long as Nelson, but if Nelson Semedo gets hurt and Leandro Santos is our backup, I'm gonna say it. I would even rather see Dahl out there. Leandro Santos doesn't give me that confidence yet.
They have the options, right? Like we have players on the squad that could do it. But I agree, like when you're building the team, if you're bringing in Semedo, it's Semedo Ba. However you want to break it down.
Yeah.
Who starts, who's the backup.
Agreed.
But those are the two.
Yeah.
If we get to a point where we're looking at our third option, then
we're in
a bad spot. Like we're just in a bad spot in general. Like
I mean, that's where we were this year, basically.
I know.
We had a center
we didn't really have a second option for right back.
Um,
That to me was the problem, but we didn't have a second option. We lost one, and that was it.
yeah, Milton agrees with you, Bill. The keep sell loan, I'm gonna actually kick that down the road, and let's do that in Miami game day. I think that will be interesting. There could be some moving and shaking between now and then, and we'll invite those of you, Milton, if you're down there.
If we run into Benfica,
John Zamus, we'll get together. We'll do a live podcast, and we'll do a collective keep sell loan of the squad and get everyone's opinions. It's still early in the transfer window, so it'll still be relevant. So we'll save that for our discussion in Miami. Wanted to get people's opinions on the 3 kits. So we've got kit number 1 here, primary kit, red. Oh shit, what did I do? Yeah, we've got Sheldrup here showing off the red kit. We've got some black trim. The red is nice and bright. From the photos, it looked like a much more pale red. This brings back memories of that red kit that we had. I can't remember what year it was when Lima was at the club. Yeah, and it
just had one of like Salvio. I think it was
had like an eagle kind of like faded
in the side.
I really like it, and I think I had told you in the images that circulating online, I think both of us were talking about like the black and the white, and it looked weird.
The white under the armpit looks strange in the first pictures I've seen.
Yep.
It's growing on me.
Yeah.
But this in long sleeve,
yep.
Dude, the white runs down the length of the sleeve.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I placed my order. Hopefully the wife's not watching because she doesn't know. But I placed my order of a few kits already last night, and this one long sleeve went on sale today, and I'm pissed because I would have bought it long sleeve already.
Yeah, Milton says 13-14, I believe. You may be right. But it has a lot of similarities to that kit. I like it. I ordered it last night along with the white one. But big fan of this. Then we've got beige. The way it presents here looks a little bit weird.
I think the beige on beige with the shorts, we'll never wear it. That looks bad. But I think it's like in the photo, whatever pattern, like the faded pattern in the back, I think maybe comes out more in the picture than like in person. I like the color scheme. This one reminds me of like I feel like it was like 2006 maybe, like Simão.
Yeah,
Gomes, Liverpool,
like
Mikuli. I think Mikuli might have. We had the red one that was very similar to this type of template.
Yep.
And we had a beige one too. That reminds me of that. And I like this one, but I think in this picture, that whatever pattern that is, maybe comes out a little too much.
And I don't think the background helps either. This is one of those. I didn't order this one because this is one of those that I want to see in person.
Yeah, I feel like in person whatever pattern that is might look a little more faded and subtle in person.
Agreed. I'm not sold on this one yet, but it's one of those that I likely will buy it, but I have to see it in person first.
Yeah.
And then we've got the white one, which, as you mentioned, the detail in it with some very faded checkers, which I didn't even realize
see on here
until I bought it, until you mentioned it. But again, I mean, it's your typical white Benfica kit, very clean. I would have liked to see, if there's one thing that I would add to this, is the thin red stripes that they did on the classic shirt.
Oh, like the pinstripe?
Yeah, like on this, I think would be sweet. But I mean, you can't go wrong with a white and red away kit.
Lovely.
It's basic, it's straightforward, but it's always a clean look. So I'm a big fan of this one. And we'll be wearing them in Miami.
Hopefully.
So, yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be here by the 9th, so hopefully it doesn't get stuck in customs. Before we close out, looking ahead to the Club World Cup. So, like I said, we'll be down there for the Boca Juniors game. Benfica's got games against Boca Juniors. They've got a game against Auckland City on the 20th of June. Boca Juniors on the 16th of June at Hard Rock. Second game is at Inter and Coast Stadium, which I believe is Inter Miami Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was Orlando.
Oh, it might be Orlando FC.
I thought we were up in Orlando.
And then Bank of America Stadium, I believe, is North Carolina.
Yep.
That's the Panther Stadium.
Yeah.
Against Bayern Munich for the third match on the 24th of June. Going into this, what are your expectations for the tournament?
For the group, top 2 go out, right? Go through. Is that how it works?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I would expect Benfica to go through. I think the Bayern game obviously is going to be the hardest game of them all.
That's why those first 2 games are pivotal.
Are crucial.
Especially the first one.
The first one, yes. And I think it's going to be I think that one's probably going to be the most entertaining to watch. I think you got that South American
opening game, yeah.
Right, like Boca, like you just South American flair fight type of thing.
Yep.
It sounds like that game is the one that sold like the most tickets out of all the opening games type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think the atmosphere is going to be nuts. But the first 2 games are crucial, and I think for Benfica, we have to. I wouldn't say have to get out of the group, but we should be aiming to get out of the group. And then again, once you're out of the group, it all depends on draw, who you get, but expectations should be to get out of the group. And unless we get paired up with a Real or like one of those juggernauts, like we should go through the next round. And then at that point, it's just knockout and anything can happen. But I'm more hopeful that no one gets hurt than anything, because this is it's a nice to watch, and it's nice that it's here, and it's nice that we can go watch a Benfica game. But this, like, unfortunately, we're not winning it, right? Like, we're not in a position to be looking at it. We're gonna walk away with the however millions it is to win it. And for me, given how many games that they've already played, with the season coming up like 2 months away, like, just get through this tournament with no injuries, nothing big, good performances, good showing, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing to keep into consideration is, or take into consideration, is June, Florida,
it's gonna be hot.
Humidity, the heat. Players are coming off a long season with a small window of recovery, and then going into a preseason. So there's just so many possibilities here for potential injuries. So I think clubs are going to make an effort, but I think it's going to be one of those tournaments, as much as FIFA is wanting to sell it and I know that they had requirements on teams to use X, Y, and Z players and not rotate, et cetera, et cetera. I do think most of the top teams, the ones competing in Champions Leagues and big tournaments, are going to be a bit cautious, and rightfully so, because again, like, it was a long and grueling season, international games, domestic games, very little break. Now you've got, in Benfica's case specifically, but I'm sure other teams have other scenarios that they can complain about, like mid-June, end of June in Florida. Like, the humidity, the heat is brutal. So I agree with, I hope there's no injuries. I hope it's an opportunity for the players to go out, to enjoy another international competition, to represent the club the best way that they possibly can, with, again, being rational. We're not a favorite to win it, right? Could the stars align and all of a sudden everything lines up and it makes sense? It could, but I mean, realistically, I think the minimum requirement is 100% getting out of the group stage, and then it depends on who falls into our lap after that.
Yep.
So my expectation is get out of the group stage, have a good showing, no injuries. Really excited to be able to get down there and watch a game. Again, I need to figure out like where everything is, and we'll announce, where we'll be. Hopefully we can get Benfica fans together, do some lives, do some interviews, get some content, get people's opinions, get people's views heading into the game, and hopefully we can come back with a smile on our face and a W to start that group stage out. Anything else that you wanted to cover before we sign off here, Bill? I think that was, again, the only other thing that we had was the keep sell loan, but we're going to kick that down the road for the podcast in Miami.
I think doing that down in Miami with some fans could be fun, and some good content and good clips, because
Milton says
people say some strange things when they get the adult beverages flowing. So
it's true. Milton says we're going to get outnumbered by all those Malucos, the Boca fans.
100%. When I saw that this game was like the highest selling one, I was like, it's going to be like 90-10. Like, there's going to be so many. Yeah, there's so many Argentinians down there.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so that's a wrap. I know we went a little bit longer, but if you're watching, listening after the fact, share your thoughts in the comments, whatever platform you're watching it on. We always check our comments. We always respond. For those of you that were part of the conversation on Instagram or the other various platforms, we appreciate you contributing to the conversation. Don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe, do all those fun things for us. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes you about 10 seconds, and we appreciate it. Just allows us to get a little bit more reach and access to more Benfica fans across the globe. And we will be back unless something crazy happens between now and then. We will. I know, and the transfer window is open specifically for teams to be able to sign and move players for the Club World Cup. So unless
is there a limit on how many we can?
Not that I'm aware of.
I know it's open. I didn't know if there was like a limit on how many you could sign and transfer within this little window.
Not that I'm aware of. So unless something crazy happens, we'll be back live Monday, the day of the game. So Monday, the 16th of June. But we'll still be active on our social media between now and then. But if something crazy does happen that's worthy of an emergency podcast, we will be back to discuss it with you. But other than that, signing off, as always, Bill, a pleasure. Everyone in the comments, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, again, to follow, like, share, subscribe, do all those fun things for us, and we will catch you on the other side. Good night, everyone.